Hey everybody, welcome back to Let's Talk. I am your host John, and this is the monthly video where we count down everything I saw from the month before. This happens to be July, and I rank them from worst to first. And I rank even all the new movies I saw in theaters, all the movies I did for 4K Blu-ray reviews, all the channel director and bank member reviews, and I put them all in one big crock pot and I cook it up, and the best rises to the top and the worst ends up at the bottom. We compare them all, so even movies that I've loved my entire life will be compared to a movie I saw for the first time this month. I thought this was a fun experiment to do, and this is the third month that we're doing it, and I absolutely love it, and I'm glad to see that you guys like doing it too. It's just it's a fun little game to see how these compare to each other. And without further ado, let's just dive right into it and start with the last movie I saw in July, and that is Point Break. Of course it's Point Break. Not the classic Point Break, but the remake of Point Break from 2015. This is one that me and Dennis did for our original versus remake series, which you guys can see this week. And yeah, it means, of course, I had to watch the 2015 Point Break, which I really didn't want to do because the original one is a classic. So I did check it out, and of course, it is absolutely horrible. Kind of a spit in the face of the original. It does have its moments, but it is definitely the worst movie I saw in July. Next up, I decided to watch a few comic book films this month, get ready for Fantastic Four and Superman. So I just watched Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I hadn't seen it since I saw it in theaters, and I liked it when I saw it in theaters, but I had the 4K Blu-ray, popped it in, and man, I just had a bad time with it. This really wasn't a great movie. The CGI is just so awful. It's really hard to get into this film when it looks this artificial. The performances are fine, but man, I just had a pretty bad time with it this time around. Next up, 1998's I Know What You Did Last Summer. The new one came out in theaters this month. I haven't checked it out yet, but I wanted to rewatch the original. I was never a fan. My wife is a fan. She's like, come on, check it out, see if you like it. It was alright. There's a reason why it's number 34 on this list, though. It's alright. There's nothing really too special about it that people like eat up and absolutely love this franchise. Never really been a big fan. Never been a big Ryan Felipe fan at that. The only movie I've ever really enjoyed him in is in MacGruber. But the movie itself, it's very much of the time. I know it always gets roped in with Scream, but Scream is miles ahead of this one. I always think more of I Know What You Did Last Summer when I'm watching Scary Movie because it does such a good job spoofing it. When I watch I Know What You Did Last Summer, I can only see the jokes from Scary Movie. Next up, I got 2005's House of Wax, which surprised me that a lot of you guys really like this one. This actually won the poll when we put 1933 against 1953 against 2005, but I'm just not a fan of this one. It does have some good kills, and maybe I was being a little too mean on it, but for me, this just isn't one of my personal favorite horror films. I did like some of the gore. It does have some good moments, but it just, overall, it's not even a remake of the House of Wax. It's really just a retelling in its own way. They really just wanted to use the name, and that was really it. And it just feels like a generic 2000s horror film to me personally. But I'm not taking away from you guys because I clearly can tell you guys really like this one. I saw this landed on Peacock, didn't get to check it out in theaters, and that is the film Drop. And this one really had a very good setup. Unfortunately, it just kind of unravels into generic thriller from there. The way it pays off, you kind of see it coming, which is really disappointing. I didn't expect it to be that obvious, but it actually turns out to be very obvious. And when it's like that, it's like, oh my god, the screenplay, unfortunately, it feels like it was just like picked out of a pile of screenplays. It's funny that it takes place in a very similar setting as the opening to Final Destination Bloodlines. To me, that was the thing that stood out to most. Was it worth it to check out on Peacock? Sure, it's a good one-time watch, but I don't think it's anything more than that. Next up, I got Mr. Smelly Potato's choice review for the month, and that was Due Date, which I did enjoy. I got some big laughs out of it. Robert Downey Jr. and Zach Galifianakis do have pretty good chemistry. There's times where it felt like Robert Downey Jr. was like sleepwalking through the movie. The problem is this movie is basically just a ripoff, a modern-day Todd Phillips ripoff of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, and just done to a lesser extent. Doesn't mean it's a bad movie. No, it's actually a pretty decent movie. It's just, if it's living in the shadow of that movie, and that's what they were striving for, unfortunately, they missed the mark. Still really funny. Zach Galifianakis really at the height of his powers not too long after The Hangover, so it's definitely worth a watch. Next up, James Bond's You Only Live Twice. And this movie, the reason why it's lower than the other James Bond movie I watched this month is because, unfortunately, this is kind of where Sean Connery is sleepwalking through the movie. He clearly was on the way out. It does still have its moments. The stuff with the plane is great. It definitely does fit into the mold of a James Bond film. And if you're somebody who just truly enjoys a James Bond film, you're still going to love You Only Live Twice. Next up, I got 1933's History of the Wax Museum, which I was surprised at how much I enjoyed this film. I wasn't even aware that the 1953 was a remake of this one because they don't share the same name, but when you watch the movies, they are extremely similar. The 1953 version just cuts out this newspaper storyline, which is probably for the best, and of course there's some stuff in the 1933 version that didn't age that gracefully, but it's still a very well done film. I absolutely enjoyed my time with it, and I will be picking it up on Blu-ray. Next up, The Ventures of Ford Fairlane. This is an Andrew Dice Clay vehicle right from the time when he was on top of the world. Same year he sold out 2 Madison Square Garden shows. My buddy Billy from my Joe job wanted me to check this movie out. I absolutely enjoyed it. It is a blast. I can see why it wouldn't be for everybody, but if you enjoy satires, especially satires of the cop genre, right in the same month that The Naked Gun is coming out, I really think this one's worth checking out. Of course, if you're someone who doesn't like Andrew Dice Clay, probably won't like this movie. I don't think your mileage will go that far with this one, even though it does have some really funny over-the-top performances from people like Ed O'Neill, Wayne Newton of all people, and Lauren Holly pops up in this movie looking beautiful as well and doing a great job. It's funny to me that she pops up in this movie, probably the best actress in this movie. Next up, I got the other James Bond film, Diamonds Are Forever. This is the one that came out after George Lazenby's On Her Majesty's Secret Service. He bowed out of the series after only one film, and you know what? They went back to the well and went to go see if Sean Connery would come back and do another Bond film, and this was going to be his last Bond film. He does do another Bond film in the 80s. People were pointing that out, but that's not a part of the, classic James Bond franchise that we know. That's more of like its own entity. So it still kind of counts, but it's just not the same. It's not the same as this one when he comes back. And it just feels like there's more life in this movie, mainly because Sean Connery clearly wants to be here for this one. He's giving it all. And that energy can go a little bit further than it does in You Only Live Twice. I recognize these aren't two of the most beloved James Bond films, but I still really enjoy them just because I'm a huge fan of the franchise. But I can recognize, the quality of them in comparison to other Bond films. Next up, I got Frank from Frank's Media and Reviews channel director choice review, The Ugly Stepsister, which is a modern spin on Cinderella, looking at it from the perspective of one of the ugly stepsisters. This is a really cool concept and had incredible production design, very well edited, checks so many boxes for me because it just does so many things right, especially in modern horror. When it comes to production design, that's something I always appreciate, especially in the world of just horrible CGI. This movie did not go the lazy route. This feels like it's period accurate. All the costumes, everything is so well done. It's just the movie, to me, it didn't really hit me like I hoped it would. And Frank said this was his favorite horror film of the year, so I felt bad saying that, but I just gotta be honest. It's just I felt while watching this movie, I didn't really feel too much. It was just more of appreciation and admiration for the work they did. We don't get many great body horror films. It did kind of remind me of The Substance. It's just, maybe not something necessarily for me. It's still a very good movie that you can check out on Shudder right now. I can highly recommend it if you're somebody who's into these types of movies. It's just not one that really struck a chord with me too much. Next up, I got Jurassic World Rebirth, which is a film I really did enjoy. I didn't expect to enjoy this one as much as I did because the last two Jurassic World movies were fucking horrible. Well, this one was actually pretty decent. Of course, it's very much, this was like described to me from somebody as The Force Awakens in the Jurassic Park franchise. And sure enough, that's exactly what it feels like. It feels very similar to the first Jurassic Park. They clearly knew that. And a lot of that stuff does work. They have sequences. There's a sequence in here that you could say is very much inspired by Jaws, which, Steven Spielberg's connection to the Jurassic Park franchise. A lot of people have compared Jaws to Jurassic Park in the past. So a sequence like that in this movie does work very well. It's just the entire film, still, despite being probably the second best sequel behind only The Lost World, that's still a very low bar to hit, and there's still a lot of just modern day blockbuster filmmaking in here where we're just hitting trope after trope after trope. Even if they know we're hitting trope after trope after trope, doesn't make the film that much better. But I had a great time seeing this in Dolby theaters. They shot it on film. Most modern films don't shoot on film, so it looked stunning, it sounded stunning. So I can't say I walked out of that theater upset. I just walked out pleasantly surprised, but still not blown away. Next up, I got Uncle V's choice review for the month, and that was After Fall Winter. And this is a melodrama that really struck a chord with me. If we're talking about The Ugly Stepsister being a fucked up version of Cinderella, then this was a fucked up version of Romeo and Juliet. And yeah, very messed up, very dark. Also a little bit funny at moments. It does have a dark sense of humor to it in certain spots, but overall, this is one that it's going to tug at your heartstrings. I literally said no out loud at one point in this movie, but I really enjoyed my time with it. Pleasantly surprised. Uncle V has given me some crazy movies in the past, but this was one that I was really glad that I watched, and I can actually recommend this one to you guys. Next up, I got Kevin Kruger's choice review for the month. I picked up the Sony Classics 4K Blu-ray of American Movie. This is the story about a guy who wants to make his movie, live out his dream. He's making a short film, which he's hoping he can piggyback that into his main feature film that he wants to make. But of course, he lives in a small town, and he's really at the mercy of the people around him. And, you know, of course, he's got kids, he's got a regular job, he's got to really make this all work. But there's just something to admire about somebody who wants to live his dream, doesn't conform to society because he believes that this is what he was put on the earth to do. I admire that, and I really did appreciate that. It reminded me of the documentary Hoop Dreams, which is funny. We'll talk about that in a little while. Very similar to that, very similar structured, where we're having a few years pass showing everything that happens. I really enjoyed it. I can recommend American Movie. It'll be a documentary that I absolutely run back to. The 4K Blu-ray is not great, but I have it in my collection. I can watch it anytime. Next up, Clueless. Some people might be like, what, you have Clueless this low? This is my wife's favorite film. I've seen this movie more times than I ever wanted to see this film, but it is still a great 1990s coming-of-age film. I enjoy it every time I watch it. It's not one that I absolutely love like a lot of people do, including my wife, but I enjoy it. I can recognize how good it is, how important it is to the 1990s film culture and to the fashion culture, so that's why I have it this high on the list. It'll be one that I watch every single year of my life because, well, that's the person I chose to marry, a Clueless lover. Next up, another one that was recommended to me from my buddy Billy from work, and he lent me the DVD, and that was Back to the Beach. And this is a classic 1980s movie that's ripping off, well, I guess it's not ripping off, it's satiring those like beach movies, those ski resort movies of the time, where they're just like really hangout fun movies, but of course they're satiring movies of the 1960s where the actor and actress from this movie came from. They were really big at that time, and it's very meta for 1987. Really surprised the hell out of me. This is one I will be picking up the Paramount Presents Blu-ray for because I just had a blast. I love cheesy 80s movies, and this is one of the cheesiest, and I loved it for it. Next up, another cheesy 1980s movie that I absolutely love, Cobra, starring Sylvester Stallone. This is a movie you can make a lot of jokes about. This is one where Stallone cuts a pizza with scissors. Makes no fucking sense. A lot of this movie makes no sense at all. This is clearly an ego trip for Sylvester Stallone, and people said that on the set. You know, he was really feeling himself, and that could happen to a lot of us. We could lose our way when we're like on top of the world, but I still love Cobra. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I don't enjoy this movie every single time I watch it. Is it a good film? Probably not, but it's a good one to me. It's a good one in spirit. It's got that cheese on it. Next up, Happy Gilmore 2. Surprised me. You know, people really bash this movie, and I'm still trying to figure out why. I just don't know what people think sometimes. What were you expecting? This is a 30-year-in-the-making sequel from Adam Sandler, who really just likes to make movies with his friends and families, which I admire. Adam Sandler is one of the nicest guys in the film business. If that's what he wants to do, damn it, he's earned it. He can do whatever the hell he wants. He still looks like he's having a blast with all these people, getting guys like Eminem, Bad Bunny, Travis Kelce. They all want to do it because they grew up with Adam Sandler. They love Adam Sandler, and this movie is a nostalgia trip. It's nothing more than that. You're not in this for the plot. I hated the plot of this movie, but I still really enjoyed Happy Gilmore 2, and I can recommend it. It's on Netflix. I'm just pissed we'll never get a physical media release to go with my Happy Gilmore 4K that's coming out pretty soon. Next up, the 4:30 movie. This is the latest film from Kevin Smith. I didn't check it out last year, but I checked it out finally this year, and this is basically, I'm going to guess this is an over-exaggeration of Kevin Smith's childhood in New Jersey. You know, him and his buddies, they just hang out at the movie theaters. He's really the movie buff. You know, they're interested in other things as well, like girls and just hanging out. But he's the movie buff, our main character in this film. And that's really what it's all about. It's a very heartwarming, very funny story. If you're somebody who's into Kevin Smith, you're going to like this. You're going to love the cameos. I think it's one of those movies, you know, it might not be the best Kevin Smith movie, but for me, it's still really solidly in the top 10. Of course, being the movie buff that I am, the movie fan that I am, it spoke volumes to me, and I imagine it would probably speak volumes to you in comparison to, you know, like other Kevin Smith fans who might not be like, you know, this isn't like Clerks 2 or anything that I was hoping, or Clerks 3. No, it's a little bit more of a sentimental story, but I loved it for it. I have Fantastic Four, The First Steps. Now, this movie was good. I liked it. You know, the only thing is I might have overhyped it for myself because people, you know, they put it all over the ads and everything, how this is the best superhero film in the MCU since Endgame, one of the best superhero films of all time. I get it. That's modern day marketing. We invite people who are probably going to like the film to the screenings, and then when the rest of us see it, we're like, it was good. It wasn't great, though. And that's the thing. It's like, it's a good film. It's a good Marvel movie. It's a safe Marvel movie. I think they did a great job with the casting for this film. I just think that it's nothing special. It's nothing that we haven't seen before. I can like be like, hey, the production design looks great. It does. The CGI for a Marvel film, which has looked really bad in the past, I thought it looked better. I think they did a good job. I think the Silver Surfer is very interesting. Galactus, though, just feels like your classic comic book film villain, and I just feel like it should have been more. I mean, I get that we wanted to tell this nice contained story. It's safe. It's making money. I get it. I just can't say it was anything more than good. Next up, Beau is Afraid. So I saw Eddington in theaters, and I fucking loved it. You'll see it on this list. One of my favorite movies of the year. And I was like, I'm still really in an Ari Aster mood. So I went home that night, and I watched Beau is Afraid again. Beau is Afraid the first time I watched it. It's something that you admire, and I was like, damn, I mean, he really went for it. It's basically just a literal showing you of what it's like to have anxiety and depression. And like, what if the world around you is like, giving you, like, it's the worst world. Like, people are in the streets, like, fucking each other, like, stabbing each other. He has to just worry about crossing the street. Like, just showing you a literal sense of what that must feel like so that we feel it as the audience. But there's, like, an animated sequence in here. The third act has a really cool but messed up twist in there. Overall, it's a fantastic film that I just really admire. I wish I loved it more than I do, because it's incredible that this is the kind of film that Ari Aster chose to make for his third film. And Ari Aster is the kind of guy who doesn't take the safe route. No, he wants to make movies that he wants to make, and people seem to really get behind him, still give him money, even though they don't actually make money at the box office, but they admire his art. And that's exactly what Ari Aster makes. He makes art, and Beau is Afraid is 100% an art house film that not everybody is going to love, but I really do enjoy it. I imagine it's the kind of movie I'm going to like more over time, because I really do appreciate it, and I really enjoyed it this time around, more than I enjoyed it the first time around. And next up, probably the biggest film that came out in July, Superman, the start of James Gunn's universe, the new DCU. This time, David Cornsweet is gonna wear the classic Superman suit. This movie, though, my biggest flaw with it, very similar to Fantastic Four, is we don't really get a classic origin story. Now, we've had the origin story for Superman. That's what they're banking on, but this is a movie that's going to be a new generation Superman film. This is the one that they're going to come to, and it just feels like it's in the middle of a franchise. Superman's already been down and out. He just lost his big fight. He's been Superman for 3 years. Krypto's hanging out. We got the Justice gang of people. All of them are in this movie as well. It just doesn't necessarily feel like a classic Superman film. But in saying all that, I still really enjoyed it. I'm somebody who also really loves James Gunn's work, and obviously the big thing was Zack Snyder versus James Gunn, Man of Steel versus this new Superman. People were pissed. I don't understand why, but in the world we live in now, people just need to get mad at something and fight with each other over something. So they're fighting over this Superman movie like they're going to make a difference if it comes out or not, or makes money or not. It makes no sense. I mean, do what you guys want to do, but that's fucking crazy. And this movie was still really good. I still really enjoyed it. Obviously, it didn't crack the top 10 for me in July, but I had a great time with it. Can't wait to see it on 4K Blu-ray. It does suffer from modern day superhero film tropes and bad CGI at moments. It's just, there's no way to really get over those humps. There's just no way I think that a superhero film in the modern age, unless they really go all out and just figure it out, and like, we're not going to get like that Dark Knight like revelation of a superhero film. I just don't think it's going to happen again. Unfortunately, because it's all about the dollar signs and really a little bit less about the art, but still a very good movie. Next up, I got 1953's House of Wax, the one that stars Vincent Price. And yeah, this is the best of the House of Wax films, in my opinion. Obviously, you guys like the 2005 one, some of you. I just think that this is a classic horror film from the 1950s. I mean, it's more of a thriller, but Vincent Price elevates to another level. They take away stuff from the 1933 version that didn't work. Then they just make a nice, tight film that was also supposed to show the 3D off of the time, but it's not something that's really distracting except for one scene. But even then, it's like admiring the time. You can appreciate what the 1950s was like, so there's really not too much I can complain about with this film. Check it out. Next up, I got Free Willy. The Blu-ray finally came back into stock. I want to do a whole video on that sometime here on the channel, because I hadn't seen this movie since I was a kid, but I was obsessed with Free Willy as a kid. I saw Free Willy 3 in theaters, The Rescue. Did anyone else see that in theaters? The only problem is I haven't really gone back to the franchise, I mean, even the first one, in a very long time. I wanted to see if it still hit, and it sure did. I was listening to the score of this movie for days. Obviously, the Michael Jackson song is something I still always listen to, but I just absolutely, I got those nostalgic feelings from my childhood again. I remembered every single scene. I loved it. I had a shit-eating grin on my face the entire time. Very similar to when I went back to Look Who's Talking earlier this year. I was able to recapture those feelings again. Everyone's gonna be like, well, it's Free Willy. It's not that great of a movie. I know, it was special to me back in the day, and man, it just felt good to revisit it. Next up, I got Hope Dreams, one of the greatest documentaries of all time. One of the greatest documentaries that I had never seen. So I decided I was going to check this one out. It's on HBO Max. In the the Criterion has a lot of their movies uploaded there. You can check it out on like the TCM platform. I'm really glad that I was able to finally check this one. Long documentary, but man, this one, it's so good. We're following around two kids. I think it's 1987 to 1991, so very long time ago. They live in the Chicago area. You'll even hear like Cabrini Green mentioned. One of the kids lives at Cabrini Green, which obviously will raise my ears because of Candyman. But they're talking about how these kids, like, this is their dreams, and like they get into a school, this big time school, because of their basketball skills. It's about an hour and a half for each of them away from where they live, but this is gonna help them mold. This is gonna help mold them into their dream of going to the NBA, which for them, might be like their only way out, like their only chance of success. You could see from like the one kid's father's perspective about how he's kind of like living his dream through his son, and that might rub his son the wrong way. It's incredible. It's more than just a basketball movie. It's really about looking at the life of these people, and then it's really about looking at the life of these kids and the people around them. And they're just looking at the basketball scene in Chicago and how important it is. I loved it. I thought this is a great documentary. I could see why this tops a lot of lists as the greatest documentary of all time. Of course, when you go into this documentary with those expectations, you might be like, it was really good, but it wasn't the best documentary I ever saw. But it's still a great documentary. And again, you have to admire the filmmakers. This takes place over 4 years. They had to keep going back and getting footage. Documentary filmmaking is the hardest filmmaking, in my opinion. Yeah, you don't have to worry about too much lighting and setup, but the amount of time and probably the little amount of money you have, you got to admire. You really have to care about like what you're talking about and really care about the subject, and these guys clearly did. So I love the movie and I can highly recommend it. Next up, this is Stone Gasman's recommendation for July, and I grabbed the 4K Blu-ray, which was from Sony, and that film is 1776. I can't believe I never saw this movie. I loved it. This is one that's going into the permanent July rotation. I'll try and watch it every single 4th of July because it's that kind of movie. It's about the signing of the Declaration of Independence. It is based on a Tony Award-winning Broadway play. Came out in 1972. It's kind of a musical, but the musical numbers all fit. It doesn't feel like the stereotypical musical where it's like, oh man, we're in another musical sequence. No, you never feel that because it's also filled with great performances. It's a great film. It reminded me a lot of Amadeus. So if you're a fan of Amadeus, give this one a try. It's fantastic. Next up, I got Small Soldiers. Yeah, I have it a little bit higher, and this is, again, another one where nostalgia is doing a lot of the work. I loved this movie when I was a kid. I hadn't seen it since I was a kid. I went back to it. The movie's just still really good. Directed by Joe Dante. You're going to get a young Kirsten Dunst in this movie as well. Again, she was floating around the 1990s as a child star. It's really cool to watch her just age up into the person that she is now. She was in Civil War last year. She's become one of our great actresses, and she was just nothing more than a child star when I was a kid. I didn't know, oh, Kirsten Dunst? No, you just didn't know that. You get Kevin Dunn, Dennis Leary, Phil Hartman in this movie. It's a classic. I've heard people say like it's Gremlins Light, and clearly they know too because there's a password in this movie and it's Gizmo. Come on, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Don't care. Love this movie. Check it out. And that brings us to number 8, 1953's Shane, one of my favorite westerns of all time. This inspired Logan. It's just a great tale about a man, classic Western trope, rolls in the town. He's looking for a calmer life. He's basically had the gunslinger life. He's not really into it anymore. He wants to see what it's like to just live the regular life. But, of course, what's he good at? So, he's got to face off with Jack Palance in this movie. Great Jack Palance performance. And a very, contained, limited role, but he's used so perfectly in Shane. The movie itself got a new Kino Lorber 4K Blu-ray release. I mean, I gave it a 6.5 out of 10. Still looks phenomenal. If you're somebody who's into Shane, I can recommend it just because Shane is one of those all-time great westerns. Up there with me, I don't know if everyone puts it this high, but I would say it's like up there with like The Searchers as some of the most important westerns, most influential westerns of all time. Next up, I got Gladiator. I mean, this is a preview for our next Let's Talk Movies podcast. Me and David, aka Shamrock Balls, are doing Gladiator next, part 1 and part 2, so I had to rewatch Gladiator. And Gladiator, it's a classic now. 25 years later, you can say that this is a classic film, and it's one of the best films that Russell Crowe's ever starred in. There's a reason why he won the Academy Award for Best Actor. This won Best Picture, and me and David have talked about this. It feels like a strange Best Picture, not to spoil what we're going to be talking about in the conversation, so make sure you guys pay attention to those videos. But Gladiator is a classic film, so I can highly recommend it if by some chance you haven't seen it. The 4K Blu-ray, by the way, is a really good 4K Blu-ray as far as the audio goes. Very impressive, which you would hope for an action film like this. Next up, Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy. I don't know why I watched this month. I was probably just looking for something funny to watch with the wife, and, it's a classic. You can always go back to it. There's a reason why I rank it this high. It's because it's one of the greatest comedies of all time. I have to put it this high. I believe Diversity is an old wooden ship from the Civil War era. Ron, I don't think the network is going to care about an old wooden ship from the Civil War era. It's just classic line after classic line. Ooh, that's a hot lead. There's just so much in this movie. It's one of the most quotable comedies of all time. There's a reason why I can laugh at it each and every single time. Sometimes I get bored of comedies, like I talked about in my Billy Madison review. You know, I burnt it out. I haven't burnt Anchorman out yet. Next up, The Dark Knight. Yeah, I rewatched The Dark Knight this month. You know, I was feeling a little Batman-y, and, I watched Batman Begins last month or 2 months ago, so I was like, I popped The Dark Knight in. It's been like a year and a half, and I really enjoyed it this time around. Still has the flaws that I've experienced for the last few times that I've watched it, especially in the third act. Really don't enjoy the ferry sequence, and I mean, I get it. You're trying to beat a message over the head. Unfortunately, it also didn't make a difference when it comes to, like, spying on people, because now we all have camera phones and everything. In 2008, that was like the early time of this, like smartphones. I think that's 1 year after the iPhone came out, so still in the early days of the smartphone before, the cameras were what they are. We had, Ring cameras on our house, so, talking about that at the end of the film kind of just feels like pointless now, honestly, but still, I mean, this has Heath Ledger's greatest performance in it, probably the greatest performance of a Joker character, even if I like Jack Nicholson more. Christian Bale is a great Batman. What can I say about The Dark Knight? You know how good The Dark Knight is. I saw this movie in theaters 10 times. 9 times during its initial run. I love this movie. It's just, it's cool a little bit for me, and I'll always say Batman 89 is still the best Batman film. Next up, Barry Lyndon, one of Stanley Kubrick's masterpieces, and I was surprised at how much I just enjoyed watching this film. I could have went back and watched it again, and this movie's over 3 hours long, I believe, and it is absolutely incredible. Every single shot looks like a painting, but even if you get around the beauty of this film, because it is one of the most beautiful looking films you'll ever see, it's also a great character study. So it's something, if you can get into great character studies, this is one of the best. And of course, it's Stanley Kubrick, so he just knows how to make masterpieces. And this is another one. I get it. Some people might feel like it's a little too snooty, a little bit too pretentious. I felt that way for a long time. But if you're a cinephile, give this one another try. I really think you'll appreciate it. Next up, like I said, I really loved Eddington. It is my second favorite film of the year, so that's why I have it so high on this list. This is one of Ari Aster's masterpieces. Is it Hereditary levels good? It might be. I've only seen it once. That's why I can't put it higher yet. It might be up there with Hereditary. It has some similar story beats that, if you know Ari Aster, they kind of cross over into this film. It's looking at the 2020 pandemic, like the early days of that, and just like kind of how we all lost our minds at that point. And some people probably won't want to go see this movie because of that. They won't want to see it because of the political tie-ins, that, and then Ari Aster at that is not somebody who everybody loves. Like I said in my review, you're probably splitting the atom too much, and that's why this movie didn't really make that much money, but it was never going to make that much money. Like I said with Beau is Afraid, people keep investing in Ari Aster because they appreciate his work, not necessarily because they expect his work to make money. Think about like giving Martin Scorsese money. Like Apple gives him like hundreds of $1,000,000. They might give Ari Aster like $20 million, but they both not expecting the biggest returns. It's just like giving money to an artist, and you have to admire it. And I really admired Eddington. If you guys haven't seen it yet, I can highly recommend it. And when it comes out on physical media, pick it up, give it a shot. But again, if you don't like Ari Aster, you probably won't like it. And that means at number 2, my favorite film of the year, the 4K Blu-ray came out. So, of course, that means I watched it again this month. And it's still my favorite film of 2025. And that is Sinners. This movie, it gets better when you watch it again, which is incredible. The movie is just, it might be a masterpiece. It's too early to say. I don't like to throw that word around yet like I just did with Eddington. Like, these two movies are special. Like I said, modern films today, we don't really get too many great films out there. But this year, we actually have gotten 2 what I consider 5-star films in Eddington and Sinners, and we still have 5 months left. So 2025 has been a really good year for film, as long as you're out there searching for the right kind of films. We're gonna still get the generic stuff, unfortunately, from the major studios that are hoping to make money on it, that are going to be crowd pleasers. But if you're somebody who's just a true cinephile, and this movie did cross over. I mean, this movie made a ton of money. Everybody was seeing it because we just don't get movies like this. The IMAX experience, that's the future of movie theaters, is the IMAX experience, the 70mm IMAX experience, and seeing this in theaters, and then they were able to capture that and bring it home with the IMAX stuff. Absolutely love the 4K Blu-ray, absolutely love the film, and there's only one film I saw this month that is better, and of course, unfortunately, it has to be better because that movie's Heat, one of my favorite films of all time. Me and David, aka Shamrock Balls, did this on the Let's Talk Movies podcast. We are both so proud of those episodes, and we're just both big fans of Heat, and for me, this is one I've only probably seen in my lifetime like 6 times. It's not one I run back to all the time, but every time I watch it, I love it. I'm like, this is just an incredibly made film, just top to bottom, checks every single box. Performances, production design, sound design, some of the best, if not the best sound design in film history. It looks great. It does have a terrible 4K Blu-ray, but it's still a great looking movie. De Niro and Pacino, that scene in the cafe, it's iconic. The bank robbery scene is iconic. There's a reason why it's been spoofed in video games. Like, I believe Grand Theft Auto 4 literally rips off the heist from this movie. And The Dark Knight pretty much ripped off the heist from this movie as well. That's how iconic it is. This is Michael Mann's masterpiece. This is a 5-star film. If there's any movie I could recommend that you see on this list, 100%, I would recommend them, most of them, but you have to see Heat. Heat's one of those movies. It's a special movie. It's one of the best films. I can highly recommend it. But that's going to do it here for me. I hope you guys enjoy these kinds of videos. I love doing it. It's one of the movie videos I look most forward to doing each and every single month now. So it's great. I mean, Kevin Kruger was the one who came up with this idea. So thanks, Kevin, our channel director. And of course, thank you to all of you. If you like this video, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share this video if you could. And then, of course, we do have channel memberships. So if you want to become a friend of the channel, a producer for the channel like Ben Rondo, Harvey Scott, and John Doe Juggalo, you can do that. Or you can even become a channel director like Kevin Kruger, Uncle V, Frank from Frank's Media and Reviews, Stone Gasman, and Nicholas Head. Or if you want, you can bump it up to the channel bankroll member and really help us out like Mr. Smelly Potato. But of course, if you got no money to throw away, guys, don't you worry about it at all. I just hope you enjoyed the video. And if you did, get out in those streets, tell your friends about us, and then we'll be seeing you around.